me tell you a story about a girl I knew. She was creative and artistic. Late at night, she drew. She rolled up her sleeve and began to draw. Splashes of red would hit the bathroom floor. She could add water just from blinking her eyes. Her canvas was covered with lots of lines. No one ever saw her beautiful art. She kept it hidden away in the dark until one fine day someone asked, "What caused the pain to create those scars?" She realized it was time to come clean. Unbelievable that someone was keen to hear her story and recognize her pain. From that day on, she never drew again. Mina Zavalt, Katerina, Ivanovna Popovskaya, but I'm mostly known as Kat to a lot of people. I was born in Russia in 1991 and made ward of the Russian state as my mother was unable to care for me. I moved around to various orphanages for the majority of my early childhood. And then in 1993, I was adopted by my Kiwi parents. When my parents adopted me, they told me that when they first saw me on the cassette tape in Russia, playing in the orphanage, they instantly fell in love with me. They said I was really cute and I had the cheekiest smile. I was adopted within 24 hours, which happens to be one of the fastest adoptions in history. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful for my parents for adopting me and bringing me to New Zealand and allowing me to experience opportunities I know so many other Russian children would have only ever dreamed about. So the number one question I'm always asked is, will you return to Russia? And yes, at one stage I did want to return. Maybe go back and visit my orphanage or even adopt a child of my own. But unfortunately, over time, my answer has changed to a no. I don't want to return to Russia. My reason for that is that Russia happens to be one of the most homophobic countries in the world today. You can be fined for being gay. You can be arrested. You can be hunted. And you can even be killed simply for being gay. And well, if you haven't guessed already, I am gay. So the likelihood of me returning to Russia before any of those laws change is very slim. Now, I'm proud to identify as gay, I am, but it wasn't always like that for me. I attended a religious school in Tauranga for about 7 years, and I became quite sheltered from the real world. And I didn't really know what the word gay actually meant. But I would use this word with my peers when describing something that was negative or dumb. I would say things like, "That's so gay," or "Don't be so gay." But I didn't really know what the word gay meant until I went to America. After school, I traveled to America for work, and one day I was walking down the streets in Philadelphia with my friend, and we saw these two guys coming towards us holding hands. And I remember seeing the rainbow flag flapping in the wind above their heads. And I thought to myself, wow, I've never seen two guys holding hands in public before. But I had this sense of connection towards the rainbow flag and these two guys. And I wanted to know more. So when I went back to where I was staying, I did some research. And I discovered this rainbow community, this LGBTQ community. And actually, Philadelphia have this neighborhood, the neighborhood I walked through, called Gayborhood, a friendly neighborhood for gay people. And I got really excited because I finally had an answer to some of the feelings that I'd been suppressing for so long. I wasn't weird, I wasn't sick, I was just gay. But all of a sudden, that excitement turned into fear and anxiety and confusion. Here I am on the other side of the world from my whānau, and I've just discovered that I'm gay. I travel back home, and for about 2.5 years, I keep my secret of being gay from my family and friends. I started to isolate myself and distance myself from them. I would read hateful comments online, people telling gay people that they would burn in hell. And do you know what? I started to believe it. So one day, in the afternoon, alone in my room, I attempted to take my own life. Now, when you're on the verge of life and death after attempting to take your own life, there is one word that pops into your mind. It's a word so strong you'll never forget. It's extremely powerful, and it's called regret. The split second I tried to take my own life, I regretted it. I ended up seeing a psychologist in the psych ward. And here I am in this room. He's sitting directly opposite me with a notepad in one hand and a pen in the other hand, his glasses on the end of his nose, and he's trying to figure out why I just tried to kill myself. And I've got my parents right in the room next door to me. And one of the questions he asked me is, "Are you gay?" How do you think I reacted? My stomach dropped, and a rush of anxiety went through my body, and I didn't end up coming out to him. Fast forward a couple months later, I met with a psychologist that I really clicked with, and we started to unpack my life a little bit and explore my identity, and I ended up coming out to him. And one of the things he said to me was, "Kat, it's okay to be gay." And that's all I really needed to hear. I just needed someone to tell me that it's okay to be gay. See, in this case, I believe my psychologist used the language of acceptance. This then drove me and encouraged me to want to come out to my parents. Here we go. So I'm driving in the car and I pull over and flip open my cell phone to send a text to my dad. And I say, "Dad, I think I like someone." And so I'm waiting for his reply. I'm sitting there. Dad's a bit of an old man, so he takes a little bit of time to text back. He texts us back and he goes, "Cool, what's his name?" ? In that moment of time right there, my biggest fear was that I would be rejected by my adoptive parents. The parents who traveled all the way to Russia to adopt me, who said that they fell in love with me, I feared wouldn't love me anymore because I was gay. But I had to be honest with myself. So I sent him back a text and I said, "It's a her." And I waited, trembling, minutes which felt like hours. I finally get a text back and he says, "Cool, what's her name?" My father had accepted me. I remember dropping the phone in my lap, tears streaming down my face, happy tears because my father had accepted me. I took those words from the text message and I wrapped myself up within its warmth and security. In this case, my father used the language of love. When I first saw my mum after Dad had told her, she said to me, "It's all very well that you're gay, but what does gaydar mean?" You see, I think for my parents, coming out wasn't such a big deal, but for me, it was huge, life-changing. Fast forward a couple years later, and I'm studying the Bachelor of Social Work at the University of Waikato. Recently graduated 2 weeks ago. I now work at the university as a student support and advocate. But during my time while studying, I created one of the first ever LGBTQ support groups called Tauranga Pryde. And my reason for this is that I didn't want to see another young person go through what I had to go through just to discover who they are. One member told me when he walks through the doors at Tauranga Pryde, he forgets all the bullying and all the harm that he sustained that day at school and leaves it at the door and comes to a place of acceptance, understanding, and aroha. I then went on to create the Rainbow Corner at my university campus, another support network for diverse students, because LGBTQ young people are 5 times more likely to attempt suicide and suffer from significant mental health issues than heterosexual people. With all this work being done in the community, I was awarded 2 Youth Week awards in Parliament, a local hero medal, and recently Certificate of Achievement for New Zealander of the Year. I went from being the girl who believed marriage was between a man and a woman, who thought that her country would hate her because of her sexuality preference. I was the girl who would sit in her room self-harming and reading hateful comments online, to the girl who is now standing before you as a rainbow warrior fighting for human rights and equality. I believe that if we can come together and understand that love is love and everyone deserves love, we might just save a life. I also believe that if we can become more aware of the language we use in our everyday lives regarding LGBTQ, then my poem would read something like this. Let me tell you a story about a group I knew. They were creative and artistic. Late at night they drew. They rolled up their sleeves and began to draw. Splashes of red would hit the bathroom floor. They could add water just from blinking their eyes. Their canvas was covered with lots of lines. No one ever saw their beautiful art. They kept it hidden away in the dark until one fine day someone asked, what caused the pain to create those scars? They realized it was time to come clean. Unbelievable that someone was keen to hear their story and recognize their pain. From that day on, rainbow people never drew again. Kia ora.